Do you feel like it's very hard for you to hit your protein goals on a whole food plant-based diet? Many people struggle with it. And just like this lady today that I speak with, she felt like it's almost impossible without eating repetitively just like tofu, tempeh. Even though she loves it, she doesn't want to eat it in every single meal or to make it a substantial part of her meals. So we dived deeper into what the problem really is, and we uncover all the false beliefs she was holding on to and that were preventing her from reaching these goals. And I'm sharing this episode or this coaching call with you today because you might have the same pre-existing beliefs or something similar, and maybe you are not aware of it. And as a result, your diet is too restrictive and maybe, like for her, almost impossible to adhere to. So stop that frustration, listen to this, and I hope that this will help you and you will get some new insights.
Okay, well, you know plant-based and vegan eating. And my problem is that I loved eating plant-based. I did plant-based for years, and I also did fasting at one point, and it worked really well for me. But as I've gotten older, I've noticed that I need more protein.
Mm-hmm.
And
Certainly.
you probably have the same situation in Slovakia that I have in Austria, where there just aren't a lot of vegan products, especially if you're out in the middle of nowhere. I do follow some vegan trainers, and they're like, eat textured vegetable protein
Uh-huh.
oats for breakfast and eat tofu for lunch and eat tempeh for dinner. And I'm thinking, okay, I mean, I like tofu, but not enough to eat it, every single day. So I think my struggle is that I've had to add in animal products. I'm using a lot of the high protein like yogurts and the milk drinks and stuff like that just to meet my protein goals. And like I said yesterday, I've got the macros pretty much down, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm sliding farther and farther away from plant-based and real nutrition. And so
Right.
that's my question is how do I balance that out? I need to have at least 90 grams of protein a day. I know that because my hair starts falling out if I don't. Yeah, that
No,
was fun.
that's, I guess, a really good question. And you are thoughtful about it, and uh, you also noticed a few things about yourself, like with the hair falling out and so on. So I would also like to recognize because many women, especially like when plant-based or whatever, they just ignore it, like you don't need protein or whatever, and they are like 30,
Yeah.
40 grams, and it's like it's scary. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, on one side we have that kind of push from marketing, like you need all the protein and so on, but I mean that's bullshit. But also you can have too little, you can live,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean it's not optimal, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so yeah,
Yeah.
there is this happy medium. Okay, and having said that, you mentioned 90 grams of protein, and that shouldn't be like a problem, but the question really is like, you are probably trying to hit also some caloric targets, and that
Mm-hmm.
in combination is probably your issue.
That's true. That's true because the more plant-based I eat, the lower protein and the lower calories it is. And like I said yesterday, I'm full.
Right.
If I have beans and rice and a salad, I'm done for hours. I'm not eating another meal for 5 hours.
Mhm.
So it's really hard to balance that out.
So what is that like caloric target that you are trying to hit?
Currently, I'm trying to hit around 1800.
Okay.
Um, and it's a struggle. It's a struggle. I'm usually about 14, 1500. But like I said, the farther I go from plant-based, and eating either, I don't want to say more animal products because I don't eat pork, I don't eat red meat, I don't like a lot of dairy, so
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of picky. So like more chicken, more turkey, fish, and dairy products. But then that's also raising the fat. And I came from your world of whole food plant-based where fat is bad. And so somewhere in the back of my mind, I have this, you need to stay under 25 grams of fat. And oh, that's too fat and you can't eat that. But everything high protein, especially the vegan products, are also pretty high in fat. So I really feel like I'm struggling to get the 1800 and also be mostly plant-based.
So what I hear is that it's not only about like hitting like the protein within the calories, and you are struggling to eat that amount of, let's say, calories at
Mm-hmm.
1800, but at the same time you are trying to keep fat low.
Yeah, which I don't think is as big of a deal as I've been making it out to be, but it's just in the back of my head kind of nagging me every time
Mm.
I get on chronometer. Like, oh, look at that, the fat number is going up. It's the red. It's always in red.
So what's that fat number that scares you? Probably you have some kind of like thresholds.
I pushed it to 30 grams and I'm uncomfortable going over 30, but that's just not possible getting the 1800 calories and the at least 90 grams of protein. It's not possible to stay at 30 grams of fat.
Oh. And may I ask, like, where did you get the number, like 30 grams or 25 grams that you mentioned?
That's from the whole food plant-based movement. I was part of that maybe, I don't know, 6 years ago and really fell into it and loved it. But then, like I said, as I got older, I noticed I needed more in order to, because I lost weight, but I wasn't gaining or maintaining muscle.
Hmm.
I didn't have the energy to run as far as I wanted to. So I realized that I needed more than that.
So look, I guess that you have kind of uh, misinformation that still is sticking with you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I can resonate with that because I mean, I was there as well, and I had this calorie number that I cannot, you know,
Yeah.
go over. And it's really scary, even though I know that it's
Yeah.
not really a bad thing or something like that. I was afraid
Mm-hmm.
to go over it, especially when I was tracking. Like when I actually, there are many paths that you can take. And one path is, for example, not tracking at all. That can
Mm-hmm.
be really freeing for a person or for the goal that you might have. It's like I'm not a fan of tracking or suggesting tracking for like longer periods of time because usually that makes people too focused on it, or certain people, not all. It's
Mm-hmm.
a tool. It can be helpful, but it can be also a bad um,
Mm-hmm.
bad master. We have that saying, at least in Slovakia, that fire can be a good servant, but a bad master. So I think
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing here or situation, and especially like with fat. Let me just clarify this: macros don't really matter. So the most important thing is really that protein there from the
Mm-hmm.
macronutrient perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Getting what I'm scared of is like 25 grams of fat, and for two reasons. We usually like there is not minimum amount that is
Mm-hmm.
generally set, but the recommendation goes at least 50 grams a day. That's like bare minimum
Mm-hmm.
a person should get.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's far below, 30 grams. And that is also like very impractical to go below that. It's usually like really bodybuilders who are preparing, for the bodybuilding show that would go below that. But, fat is also important for um, hormonal system. So for example, building muscle, okay, you give or get all the protein, but to produce testosterone, estrogen, you need fat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another consideration is, we also need omega 3s, omega 6s, 9s. So getting all of these within 25 grams becomes like really, you would eat only like chia seeds or maybe flax seeds, and then you have a little room for something else, and that doesn't give you room for like other foods, like you said, for protein.
Yeah.
Then you need to eat like pure protein and then pure carbohydrates, and that in practical sense is a nonsense.
Yeah.
And then
It's crazy.
you cannot make meals out of that. Then it would be eating like
No.
protein powder with
No,
flax
I
seed,
know. I know you can't because I tried.
and then maybe fruit or rice or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my problem. I think I need to track because I think I will have a good day's plan down for food. I will put it in Chronometer and I'm at 1100 calories, 60 grams of protein. And I'm like, okay, I need to redo this whole thing. I really just have no mental concept of what a full day would look like with the numbers I want. And so that's why I track, is because I feel really lost, I think, a lot of times when it comes to putting foods together.
And is it helping you?
I think it's giving me a good idea. Like I know now, like breakfast, lunch, and good dinners that pair up nicely. So it's giving me some ideas. Yeah. But yeah, I don't feel like I have a good hold on, what makes a good day's worth.
So I can hook you up with some resources and so on. I don't know if you have my vegan protein guide. Oh, there is also like, I believe it's 1800 calories and 120 grams of protein day worth of eating. There is a meal plan inside. Do you remember it or have you seen it?
I do remember it, but that's when I thought I needed to stay at 1400 calories. And so I ignored it back then.
Okay.
So you're right. I have it saved on my laptop. I need to revisit that.
Good. So check it. And these are like, there are a lot of whole foods, but also like protein powder or whatever. But generally, it's like, I like it because, I mean, I put a lot of effort into it, but it is also a kind of sorry, varied diet that you have also like vegetables, legumes, and so on. So it's not so restrictive, you know. But other than that, I would really push forward that idea that, well, don't go below 50 grams of fat, like don't restrict yourself in that way. And there is also like low carbohydrate plant-based diet. It's very restrictive, but I mean, you can have days when you can be like low carb, high fat, plant-based. There are meals like that.
Do you think that's effective when you're talking about gaining muscle and increasing endurance?
I'm not saying effective, but I'm saying it in relation to that you don't need to be like high carb, low fat, for example, or whatever. It's like really just focusing on that protein, and then whether the rest of the calories come from fat or carbohydrates don't really make a difference, as long as it is like something that you can sustain. And you can look also like one of the most successful diets. Well, probably it is the most successful eating pattern, not the diet. and that is
Mhm.
Mediterranean, you know.
Mhm.
So like Greece and so on, olive oil, olives, fish,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
whatever. It's compared to a vegan diet, it's much higher in fat, but it's very easy for people to adhere to. It is very filling.
Mhm.
It gives you a lot of variety. So when you can
Mhm.
translate this diet actually to vegan, and you can eat for tofu instead of feta cheese, as an example.
Mhm.
Fish, okay,
Mhm.
there we have like some restrictions that we need, but you can have, for example, the tempeh that is also high in fat, but who cares? You can have it
Mhm.
with rice.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
the biggest takeaway from my perspective for you is to just don't try to push that fat too low. And
Mhm.
that will also perhaps help you with increased calorie intake.
Yes, I think so. I think so because even now I look at the peanut butter, I look at the avocado, and I think, no, I'm a little bit high on fat today.
Oh,
When that would be an easy way to get an extra 200, 300 calories just like that, and I would hit my goal. You know what I mean? But I would say
yeah,
no to those because they're higher in fat. So I'm blocking myself.
totally. Yeah, it's unnecessary restriction right there.
Hmm. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
To conclude, just to make sure that you, you get the point. So, what's your takeaway?
I think, well, my main takeaway is definitely the fat, and to just not worry about it as much and just kind of really try to hit because the focus is the protein and the calories for, for muscle building. And so that's what I should be focusing on more than worrying about a certain amount of fat. I don't eat very fatty foods anyway, so it's not
Right.
like all of a sudden I'm going to, be like, yes, eat that whole thing of ice cream and a hot dog, and that's not how I eat. So I don't think it's going to be too outrageously high.
Like, just to give you an example, what I've been tracking, I have, for example, 2,500 calories. And when I make it like whole foods, I get about 50 grams of fat in a day. And that's on the low side, right? And I noticed like I can function and so on, but also
Mm-hmm.
mm, I focused a little bit on including more fat in my diet, so now I'm
Mm-hmm.
about 70 grams, something like that. And now, I mean, I feel much better. I can feel the
Yeah.
difference.
Mm-hmm.
And that is especially,
Yeah.
as I said, like for hormones, and I had a long time. I was not trying to push my fat down. It was just based on the food choices. But my like sports performance was also suffering due to that.
Mm-hmm.
Like adaptation to build muscle and so on. I was getting, let's say, uh, enough calories, enough protein, but hormonally probably there was this missing piece for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I got it
Yeah.
from another dietitian, sports dietitian, who really like had to, get it into my head like you need more fat.
Yeah. You do. You need somebody to tell you because I think it's pounded into you so much that low fat, high carb, and don't worry about protein, that it really sticks with you. And then as your life changes or your fitness goals change, you
Right.
you still have that same mindset when no, your nutrition needs to change along with those things. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's hard. It's
That's
hard to
that's a
shake
great
that.
takeaway. But really, when we just one more maybe insight, when we just focus on the main principles like eating varied diet, sticking with this like in the presentation or with the plate method or whatever, I find this like to be really, really successful for many people. I mean,
Mhm.
you can track calories. This can give you insights when you're making changes or give you like some deeper insights. But just following this plate composition and having some like 5 to 10 of your go-to meals. I mean the whole meals, not only food. It's most than what it's like very successful base that many people miss.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very easy to have that. You have 10 foods on rotation, it gives you variety. You don't need to exactly have it by recipe or whatever, just like a general idea. Maybe one day
Mm-hmm.
you will have like rice and tofu, another day will be potatoes and tempeh. You know, it's very similar, right? Vegetables on the side and so on. So it gives you a lot of freedom, and consistency is really the key.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's what I need is to build that base of meals that I know, like breakfast, I've got pretty much down now. So I know I don't have to, I still measure things because I don't know what I'm doing with muesli. I always end up with not the right amount. So I still have to measure, but I know the right food combinations to get where I want to be. It's more like the lunches and the dinners that I still need to work on to have just kind of the base. So I just, in my mind, I know, oh, I can have this meal and that's 30 grams of protein. I'm good.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for watching. If you like this content, I'm sure you will also like what you will find on my website. You'll find there podcasts, blogs, free guides. All of that will help you to live healthier and perform better. So go check it out. It's danweiss.eu, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next video. Since you have been watching so far, it means that it is something that interests you, and probably you are stuck with your nutrition. If that is the case, I invite you for a free 15 minutes strategy call. You can access it at danweiss.eu/call. And during this call, I will try to help you to pinpoint like one specific thing you can focus on, because you can be focusing on thousands of different things and not move forward, or just focus on one that will start getting you the progress that you would love to get and that you deserve. So go there, link is in the description below, and I'm looking forward to see you.